Hello and welcome to the video. This is part of my INAV for Beginners 2026 series. I know that's been on fixed wing, but actually this is about planning missions, and you can use missions or have the craft autonomously visit a series of waypoints, whether it's something like this, a quad, a wing, a plane, a car or a boat. And what it means is exactly as I've described it. You just upload a series of waypoints into the flight controller. When you get to the field, you load those into memory, and then when you fly, you turn on a special mode called INAV WP, stands for waypoints, and the craft will fly autonomously. This has been something that INAV has been able to do for quite a long time, and it's because INAV understands how to use things like GPSs and compass properly. However, a couple of caveats before we get too far into this. Flying a mission is probably one of the most advanced things that INAV will do. So make sure that you can fly it okay, that it's tuned okay, that things like loiter is working, that you can do return to home and it works reliably. All that stuff has to work before you even entertain the idea of flying a waypoint mission. If any of that stuff doesn't work, then hold your horses and fix that first. The missions are actually created in a separate program and then loaded and saved into the EEPROM, the non-volatile memory that's part of the flight controller. When you get to the field, then you can have it either load that automatically into memory, ready to fly, or you can use a specific stick combination, typically throttle low, yaw left, pitch up, in order to load it. Don't worry, get into all this a little bit more detail. Then when you're flying, you flick to nav waypoint and it will execute the mission for you. As I'll cover in a moment, there are things called multi-missions where you can load several missions at once, and then you can decide which of them you want to fly when you get to the field. I would not recommend getting into all that multi-mission stuff, if I can even say it, until you have flown at least a couple of basic missions. My advice with this is start really simple. Start with just a mission with 2 or 3 points relatively close in, and then when you're happy that all works, then start to be a little bit more adventurous. I've seen lots of people get into trouble by trying something really complicated the first time they've ever tried to make this work. So let's go on the bench. Let me show you around how this all works. There are some new wrinkles since I did this last time, and some new things like a new map provider too in INAV 9. Mission control, the creation of missions and things like that, is actually something that you can play with without being connected to a flight controller. So I'd recommend, before you get into this too far, is load up INAV Configurator and have a play. Now, while we are not connected to a flight controller, there are still quite a few icons on here. Let me explain. So this is how we can save and load a mission file onto the computer. So we can create it here and then load it into the model later on, or we can load in one that's on the computer and have a look at it or change it. The icons here set your defaults. So this set of cogs here is initially going to give us the parameters that are going to be applied to every waypoint we add subsequently. So these are the defaults in terms of the height in centimeters, which is a bit of a weird unit, but that's the way it works. You can set the speed that you want it to fly at, centimeters per second. Again, slightly odd value, but if you leave it at 0 like I am here, it's just going to use the default one. The radius is the amount of space around each waypoint that the craft has to get within in order to consider that waypoint visited. 50 meters is ridiculous. I would set it for probably 2 or 3 meters for quad flight, probably 8 to 10 meters radius for something like a wing. It depends on the conditions. Obviously, it's going to be a lot windier. I potentially would increase that if I know it's going to be windy on the down flying. Last 2 things here are for fixed wing, land and approach. I have a whole video about how you do that in INAV. Go and check that out. So we can either save it once we've done it, or we can get rid of it. Next one is for something called multi-missions. By default, you're just going to be saving 1 mission at a time, load and fly it. However, you can save multiple missions onto the flight controller. So when you're at the field, you can choose which one you want to fly. I wouldn't get involved in that until you've flown your first couple of missions and you're comfortable. Last one is all about the takeoff home, and then is going to give us information about the altitude and how close to the ground we're going to get. We can absolutely set that. So if I just click, drag that home location to where I'm going to stand in the field when I fly it. That's going to be the reference. Once that's done, then I can just click on the map and create waypoints. And these are going to be the waypoints that are going to be visited by the model. So if I take off here, then initiate nav waypoint as the mode, the model is going to fly to waypoint 1. When it gets within the radius that we've set, it's going to consider that visited. It's going to then turn, fly down this leg to waypoint 2, and then turn and fly down this leg to waypoint 3. What happens at the end? Well, you can decide. I would always recommend make your last waypoint a return to home, and then that way, when you actually look at it, you are going to fly the whole thing, and then when it gets to the end, it's just going to return to home. The other thing you'll have noticed as I scroll down there is we now have an idea of how high we are above the ground. We are comfortably above it. In the places that I fly, like Cheshire and Yorkshire here in the UK, it's like a bowling green. However, if you're in a hilly area, it's worthwhile coming in here to double check. Don't forget, this is the ground height. If there are big trees or pylons or anything like that, this isn't going to appear in here, but it's a good check to make sure that the mission altitude that we're going to fly at for the different waypoints that we've set up, there's the 3 waypoints mapped out on here, are actually going to be comfortably above the ground. If we wanted to change it, then for example, if we thought that actually waypoint 1 was a bit low, we can click on waypoint 1 and then we can change the altitude. Maybe we want to add another 500 centimeters. Again, slightly weird way to do it. Then now you'll see that in the altitude, the first waypoint, it's going to fly up to that, and it's going to be flying down slightly to get to the second waypoint, etc. Once waypoints are done, then you can absolutely just drag them around. If you click on them, you can move them. If you don't like them, then you can actually just delete them and they'll disappear and the thing will snap. So it's really, really easy and intuitive. Let me plug in a flight controller here by the side and we can have a look at some of the extra things you get when you're connected. So the mission planner screen, when you're connected to a flight controller, has a couple of extra things. If we click on there, we can see that we have the same save and load to the computer. We now have save and load to the flight controller and save and load from EEPROM. EEPROM is where it needs to be in order for it to survive being unplugged and taken to the field. So what we'll do is let's create a slightly more advanced mission. Let me just zoom out a little bit. Now you'll have noticed the other thing I'll mention here is that this looks like a proper aerial picture. You can change it. If you come up here to the cogs, you can check the kind of map provider that you want. With INAV 9, we have OpenStreetMap or Esri World Imagery, which is the one I'm currently using, or you can use a map proxy. A map proxy was something that you used to use historically when I used to use Bing Maps a lot for this, but that's no longer possible. So I'm just using Esri World Imagery. If you change it, you have to come out of this screen and back into it in order for the background to change. I like this because it actually shows details in the fields that you don't get on a street map. So let's create a slightly more sophisticated mission. The other thing you'll notice here is that we do have something called Safe Home. Safe Home is the other icon we haven't talked about. This allows you to select safe homes around the location that you're flying in that the model can fly back to in the event of a problem. By default, a return to home is going to return to the location that you arm the model at. However, you can set it up so there are other safe locations that it can go back to. Maybe where you're taking off from is something like a floating platform and you'd rather it, in the event of a failsafe, landed in the field by the side of the body of water. That's the kind of stuff you can set up here. So we'll get rid of that. Let's create our mission. So first of all, let's put in roughly where we're going to be stood. There we go. And we can create our mission. So again, we could just create 3 links. The last one, I would always get into the habit of just making it a return to home. And then that way it's going to work great. Again, we can see we're comfortably above the ground on this, so we're all good. Now, that's a really basic mission. If we want to get rid of them, then you know what? We can actually get rid of the pieces. INAV is better now. It'll actually warn you when you're doing something that you might regret. Let's get rid of that second waypoint 2. In fact, no, let's just drag it into there. So there's something called point of interest. Now this doesn't work obviously with a fixed wing, as I mentioned, but with something like a multirotor where it can fly in any orientation with the camera pointing in any orientation. We can turn waypoint 2 into something called a point of interest. And a point of interest is going to be where the model is going to point to. So if I wanted to fly around that point of interest and get a really nice view all the way, again, don't forget, last one in the sequence, I would always just change it to be return to home. What will happen now is when I launch the model, get it into the air, initiate nav waypoint as the mode, it's going to fly to this waypoint, then the nose of the model is going to point to this point of interest. It's going to fly down this leg, always pointing here. It's going to get to the next waypoint. It's going to turn again, keeping pointing to the waypoint of interest. It's going to fly down each of these legs until it gets here, and it's always going to be pointing at it. So maybe there's a beautiful tree in the middle of the field that you want to get a panoramic view around and fly around. This is one way that you can do it. Let's get rid of all of those. What we can do also is you can change it in the middle. So let's say that we want to fly to here and then to here, and then the next bit is going to be the point of interest. So let's again change that waypoint type to be a point of interest. And now you'll notice the line is blue, which means the model is going to point to the next waypoint as it flies to it. As I fly around, you'll see that it's nice and yellow. And I could even change it so that in this waypoint, we could actually change it so that as well, it's a position hold time. And we need to stay at that location for 15 seconds, and then it's going to fly on to the next piece. What about if we don't want to point to this point of interest after here? Well, what we can do is we can modify this waypoint, and this time we can say set heading, and we can set a heading of any compass point, 0 to 359 degrees. If we change it to -1, however, that is going to change it back to just fly in the direction that you're headed. So now when I click back here, we're back to a blue line. So the way it would work with this one is I would launch, initiate nav waypoint. It's going to fly straight to this waypoint, then turn, and with its nose pointing at waypoint 2, it's going to get to here. At this point, it's going to rotate, so it's pointing at the point of interest. It's going to fly to here. It's going to wait 10 seconds. Then it's going to, while keeping pointing at the point of interest, fly to here, then fly to here. And at this point, it's going to then put the nose back forwards, fly to the last waypoint, and we need the last waypoint to be, of course, a return to home. Looking at this and looking at the altitude, I can see that waypoints 2 and waypoints 3 were still 116 meters above stuff. Potentially I might want to, so this is obviously a bit hilly over here. I could potentially increase the height of that just to make that a little bit safer. So make that maybe, and again, check your local laws for what the maximum altitude is. Let's change that to 6,000. Let's change that to 6,000. That looks good. Oops. Let's get rid of that. So now when I look at it, you can see that we're going to rise as we go over that feature on the ground. A couple of things that we can see now. We've created our mission. We have used only a handful of the available points. We can create missions up to 120. We've only used 9 of those. So that means we could create much larger, more complex missions. We can also see the actual distance that we're going to fly, and we need to double check that that is a distance that the model can actually do with the battery that we've got in it. That all looks good. Now we can actually save this onto the flight controller. So again, the first 2 icons here are to save and load it onto the computer. The next one is to load and save it onto the flight controller. Now, I would recommend you do it like this. Save it first of all to the flight controller. Make sure the mission valid goes green. It does, that means it's good. And at that point, we can actually then save it to the EEPROM. That's going to save it. There we go. Into the flight controller, and that all looks good. If we actually show the log here, we can see that it says EEPROM saved. That all looks really good. So we'll hide the log. So that looks fab. Before you go to the field, the last thing I would do is potentially save this to the computer as a file as well, in case this doesn't work. But I would delete all the waypoints. I would then load the mission from EEPROM. And now we can see that that has come from the flight controller. So we know that it's in there, we know it's safe, we can go to the field. A couple of things to quickly mention that aren't as part of that interface. If you go into the CLI and type in get nav_WP, then it will bring all the settings. Let me draw your attention to a couple of them. The one is called load on boot. I can either be on or off. I talked about this at the beginning. Normally the way it works is when you get to the field, you're going to put a particular stick command into the radio. That's going to load the mission into memory, ready to fly. Don't forget to do that. Otherwise, when you initiate nav waypoint, it'll just return to home. That's usually the big indicator you forgot to load your mission. I've done that. So I would normally recommend that you have that turned off initially. Why? Well, because the next one really, the nav waypoint safe distance. This is how far away that first waypoint is from your home location for the mission to be considered safe. I would put that up a little bit more, but what it means is that if you have that disabled, you might maybe fly at two sites that are maybe 40 miles apart. You set up a mission for one field and you have it automatically loaded. You disable the check and you go to the other field. When you initiate the nav waypoint mode, it's going to try and fly the 40 miles to the first waypoint. That isn't really going to work. So I personally would recommend that you have load on boot turned off and that you have a reasonable number for your waypoint safe distance. And again, this is something you can play with when you're at the field. If you have the first waypoint relatively close to you when you're planning missions, then you're always going to be okay. OSD HUD waypoint number is going to be the number of waypoints in the actual on-screen display. So if you are using OSD and flying FPV, you can have information in the on-screen display showing you where you are as relationship to the waypoints. That can be very handy. Not personally something I have turned on because I find it gets in the way of me seeing what's happening. Particularly because I like to fly autonomous missions when I have things like my gimbal on a plane, because while the plane is doing the flying, I can have a lovely time looking around. Nav multicopter waypoint slowdown. This is whether or not the multirotor is going to slow down as it gets to a waypoint. It can be on or off. I just leave it as off, but if it's a larger quad with lots of momentum, you may want to change that. And the last one is failsafe_mission. This tells INAV what to do if there is a failsafe condition while it's actually flying the mission. Be careful with this. Lots of places it isn't legal to fly when you're not in control of the vehicle, but it does mean that in the event of a failsafe, maybe you actually fly behind something that you weren't expecting. How does it handle that? Does it continue the mission or does it return to home? So at the field, to actually fly the mission, once you've got it into the EEPROM, once you get to the field, you're going to plug it in, wait for the GPS to lock, and then before you arm it, you're going to do that stick position, which is usually throttle low, your left, pitch up. Probably going to see it in the OSD tell you that the mission is loaded. If there's a beeper on it, I think it beeps as well. And then you can take off normally. And then when you're ready, flick into nav waypoint and you're along for the ride. Hopefully that's been useful for those of you that are interested in this. A lot of it is identical to back in INAV 3.0 and before, but in INAV 9, a couple of extra little wrinkles, but it's a lot of fun. Again, my top tip is when you're playing with this stuff, start really simple with a 1, 2 or 3 point mission. And then when you've got that all working, then build up the complexity. Best of luck with it and happy flying. Thank you for watching my video. Check out the playlist, and adding Painless 360 to your search terms will help you find my content. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. You can support the time I spend here answering questions and helping others by using the links in the video description.